In this lesson, we're going to really dive into skin softening. It's probably going to take more than just one lesson to do this because it's got a lot of steps, but it's really, really worth the effort. The problem with most skin softening techniques that are out there is that it makes the skin too soft. It makes the skin look porcelain and tremendously fake. So I'm going to really focus a lot on trying to keep as much texture as possible. I'm going to give you variations, so if you decide, no, Scott, I really want that super soft look, you can absolutely do it, because this is a judgment call you have to make. It's not for me to make it for you, but we'll take you through the steps and see what you think. Okay, now, the first thing I'm going to tell you is going to be probably kind of surprising, and I know that people do it different ways. I think the method that I found that works the best is before you soften, to sharpen. Okay, now you might have to sharpen again at the very end, but here's the thing. You're about to soften the whole image. It's really hard to go back and try to sharpen something that's been intentionally softened first. So I will generally start off by going under the filter menu, under sharpen, choosing unsharp mask. Go ahead and apply my sharpening now, and let's do something like 85, 1 and 4, one of my favorite settings. So we'll get that sharpen in there. There we go, nice sharp eyes. And maybe even take it up to 100, because I'll over-sharpen a little bit at this stage because I know that I'm going to wind up softening. So 100, 1 and 4 is the amount of sharpening I'd use on a nice high-res image like this. Click OK. Now I'm going to duplicate the layer, so we're working on a copy of the image. I'm going to go under the filter menu, under blur, and choose Gaussian blur. I'm going to apply a 20 pixel blur because it's a high-res image intro. If this is from like a 10 megapixel camera or a 12 megapixel camera, something like that, then I'm going to apply a 20 pixel, not a 20 megapixel, a 20 pixel Gaussian blur. Now, I'm going to lower the opacity of this blurry layer down to 50%. Now, we can adjust that later. We're going to make changes later because she looks very, very soft now. And by the way, a lot of people will end their whole retouch right there. They go, well, that's it. It's got that super soft look like the old soft tar filters or something where it's super, super soft. If that's the look you're looking for, you're done. But we're going to continue on. Okay? So we're going to continue on by holding the Option key on Mac, the Alt key on PC, clicking on the layer mask icon and hiding this blurry version of her behind that black mask. Now what we're going to do is take the brush tool, switch our foreground color to white, so we're using white, and then we're going to paint over the image. But you know what, actually, before we do that, there are a couple little things we should probably fix first, so I'm going to actually dump out of this layer. Here's why. As I look at the image up close, I can see that there's a couple little things that we need to retouch first. Before you do any skin softening, you need to remove any blemishes first. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and go in here, remove that one. It's going to take more than one click. Let's go a little bigger brush here and remove that one. And I need to do a little bit better there. Let's do a couple more clicks. There we go. Get rid of this one. This one, there's a little bit of something down here that might require, and just go basically around, and you got to get rid of this stuff first. If you don't get rid of it now, it's going to be really hard to get rid of later when the skin's already really, really softened and stuff. So let's get rid of this stuff. In fact, I would probably, I really messed that up, didn't we? I would probably go ahead and get rid of this stuff before I even applied the sharpening. So. And there's a couple little spots here, little pores and things that we can address. A couple little things up here, nothing too bad. Very minor stuff. She has very nice skin, so it's not really an issue. But we got to get rid of this stuff first. And see that crazy stray hair? Not these ones out here. We can deal with those later. This one right here. I think I would get rid of that now. Because if not, you're going to wind up blurring. Oh boy, what a hack job that was. There we go. You're going to wind up messing with this stuff later, so let's get rid of that. Let's break the chain, right? Break the connection to the eyebrow, and then we'll use the patch tool to get rid of that. Pop right in there. Bring it over. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's better. That's better looking. And go back to the healing brush. Let's go and get this area in here. Pretty easy. Now we're going to have to switch inside the eyebrow. We're going to have to switch to the rubber stamp tool because, as we mentioned earlier in the first part of this video, The patch tool and the healing brush do not like where things touch. They like to fix things that are all by themselves, like an island. They don't like to fix things that are touching other things. It just blurs the edges. So there we go. Kind of fix that up. And now that we're in nice and tight, we can just go and see if there's anything. There's a little tiny couple little things here. Let's switch back to the healing brush. I think it generally does a better job if we can get away with it. Yeah, there's a couple little things here. Minor stuff, though. Get that. And a couple little spots here and there. Nothing too major. Let's get sample closer to these areas. Maybe make the brush a little bigger. I'm going to be here all day. That's good. That's good. There. I think you don't have to get every little thing right, because we're going to smooth the skin, and that's going to hide a lot of stuff. Oh boy. Let's pick a better spot. Sometimes you pick a spot to sample, it just doesn't look good. Alright. But look at the nice skin texture. There's lots of skin texture here. Of course, you don't really want to see much of it, but you do want to see some of it. So, we've gotten that far. Now we duplicate the layer. Now you apply the blur. Knock it down to 50% opacity. Lower the opacity over here to 50%. Then we add the mask. Now we're ready to continue. You're going to get the paintbrush tool. Make sure your foreground color is set to white. Get a nice large brush, and you're going to paint in the blurry version of her. You're going to paint over all the areas of skin, but you're going to avoid all the detail areas. So you're going to avoid her nostril. You're going to avoid her lips. You're going to avoid anything that should remain sharp. You're only going to paint over these large areas of skin that you want to be soft. So we're going to go in here. You might have to change your brush size to stay away from, edges, but you want to stay away from basically edges. You don't really want to touch her eyebrows, her eyelashes, or any of that stuff. You want to shrink it down, the brush. I'm using the bracket keys on my keyboard, as I talked about in the first segment. And if you see me do something, you're going, I don't know what he's doing there. How did he do that? It's because you didn't watch the first segment. Go back and watch part 1 first. It'll make your life so much better. All right. Because we cover a lot of the essentials in that first part. So I'm trying to avoid actually painting right on the eyebrows. I'm trying to kind of work around them and stuff like that. So all the areas that are supposed to stay sharp, stay sharp. Now you see we're really blurring this quite a bit, and we're going to get kind of that porcelain look to some extent. You still see a little bit of pores because we're at 50% opacity, right? You're still seeing a little bit of detail, but it's really smoothing the skin tremendously. And again, it's one of those things, once you see the before and after, I think it'll really strike you how much we've softened. Make the brush bigger again. All in here. Really softening this up quite a bit. And then I'm going to pull up a little. We're going to soften in there. Now, a thing that a lot of people mess up on this, and it's a dead giveaway that it's been retouched, besides the fact that it's extremely soft and blurry, is that they forget to go and do other parts. So if there are other parts of your subject, you can't just do their face and let their other skin look really, really... I've even had professional models tell me that, yeah, I was retouched once and the guy did everything but my fingers, and it was really obvious, so it's... These are things, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time retouching all this, but you get the idea. You have to do the whole photo, not just the face. Okay, so now, at this point, how do I know if I've missed any areas? I mean, you see me going over and over and over, but how do we know if you missed any areas? Here's how you got to do it. Go to the Layers palette. Hold the Option key on Mac, the Alt key on PC, and click on the Layer Mask icon. This gives you just the mask, and you can see, wow, look at that. I missed those areas right there. I missed that. I missed that. Oh my gosh, look at all the things I missed. So without doing that, you have to do this every time. Every time you make this mask, you have to do this to see which areas you missed. Now here's eyebrows, so you don't want to do those. There's an eye socket. There's an eye socket. You don't want to do those. But take a look back. Option click on it again. You can see we missed some major nose area right there. So look at that. We missed that whole area of softening. So let's go in here and soften that. Now you don't want to get... You don't want to get around this area right there, so let's not go down too far. But we missed quite a bit of softening, and right in there too. Alright, so now we can option click back, or in PC Alt click back, and know that we've pretty much, and look at the difference in the skin softening here, so you can see how much we've softened the skin, which is considerable. Alright, now, I'm going to show you an alternate method to what we've done, an alternate way of softening. And I want you to choose which you like better, because they do have a difference in how they are done. Some people swear by one way, some people swear by another. The method that we've used thus far, and we're far from done. This is kind of them setting the basis of what we're going to do. All right, is to use a different method of blurring. Before I show you that, remember I told you I'd show the porcelain. We're pretty much porcelain now, but if you raise this opacity, you go straight up to porcelain world. There's that really porcelain doll-like, you know, kind of crazy looking skin. I think it's way too much. 75% I think is way too much. The reason why I start with 50, it has to be blurry enough so you can see where you're painting. If you make it too low at the beginning, you can't see where you're painting on the face. So I basically start at 50. But my sweet spot, I think for most people, is 35%. So I'll lower it to 35 if this was as far as I was going to go. Because now look, you can really see some texture and pores and things like that, but it's much softer. Look, still much softer. However, it is, you know, there is texture and stuff there. All right, so I'm going to set it. I'm going to set it back to 50 just so you can very easily see the difference. Now, here's the second technique. All right, and some people prefer this. It's really, you have to decide which one you like best. Duplicate the layer. Instead of applying a Gaussian blur, you're going to apply a surface blur, and you're going to use a real high radius and a real high amount. So somewhere, I usually start at the 00s, but you're going to wind up in the 25 to 30 range, somewhere in here in the threshold and in the radius, until the skin just looks really nice and smooth. Let's see what this looks like up in the 30s. Wow, that's some really, really smooth skin. Now, again, you're seeing the full bore of this thing, right? You're seeing the full heat. See if I can go up a little higher. Maybe not so much with the threshold. Maybe more down. I'm just kind of trying to make it nice. I'm trying to make the blurring look smooth, but still see some shadows and some highlights in the blur. All right, so let's try that. We'll click OK. All right, and it applies that huge blur. Then, just like always, we're going to drop to 50%. But I'll show you a little trick that'll speed things up here. So this will help you to show a before and after. So drop it to 50%, and you can see there's the blurring, right? But it's blurring the whole image. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up here. You're going to hold the Option key on Mac or the Alt key on PC first. You're going to click and drag a copy of that mask down here. So it just takes that mask you spent all the time working on the Gaussian blur version and just copies it down here. You're duplicating that mask, so you don't have to do it all again. So now you have two versions, right? I'm going to pull this out so you can see what's what. This was surface blur, S-U-R, let me see. I guess you don't really know how it's spelled, do you? This one was Gaussian blur. Okay, so we have two different versions. So which one do you like better? Do you like the look of the Gaussian blur or the surface blur? You can see they are different kinds of blurs, right? Gaussian, surface. They definitely look different. I think the Gaussian may be a little bit softer, and which is maybe why some people like the surface blur better. I just wanted to show you them both so you can choose which one you like better. Either the surface or the Gaussian. There's both. If you want the ultimate in smooth skin, use both a surface blur and the Gaussian blur, and it is absolutely super smooth, and there's virtually no texture whatsoever. Okay, I'm going to pause right here, and we're going to pick this back up in the next lesson because we've gone quite a ways here, and we'll then look at trying a different technique based on this. So we're going to leave off. We'll get rid of the surface blur. We'll just continue on with the Gaussian blur. I'm going to pick up right there when we come back in the next lesson and take that, bringing back the texture to another level.